Our next presentation is Wan Hui Teh, who's studying a Master of Computing in ECMS. She received a scholarship for the project OUCH, using virtual reality to manipulate threat and uncertainty in the experience of pain. Again, no one really experienced any real pain in this project, but referred pain, virtualised pain, maybe. I'm sure Wan Hui will go into that. The project has been supervised by Dr. Flavia Pietro, who's over here in the audience. Thank you for your supervision. And the project has been funded from the HIVE and the Faculty of Health Sciences.
Okay, so thanks Andrew, and good morning everyone. I'm Wan Hui, and today I would like to present my HIVE internship project, which is known as OUCH, using VR to manipulate threat in the experience of pain. And then my supervisors are Dr. Flavia and Mr. Morgan from Curtin Medical School and Mr. Wesley from HIVE. So, what is pain? I believe everyone over here has experienced pain before, right? So pain is an unpleasant feeling that every individual experiences in different ways and at different parts of the body, as shown in the picture. It is defined as an unpleasant sensory and emotional experience associated with or resembling that associated with actual or potential tissue damage. And how is pain produced? I can say pain is complicated, and the experience of pain is constructed in the brain based upon information from the body and the surrounding environment. So imagine, now you are in chronic pain, and then what is your next move? I guess, besides go for Google search, the next thing you will do is to step into a GP office. But for the typical clinic room, it is often painted in white and without decorations and no window. The auditory stimuli may range from air compressor to the patient screaming or even kids shouting. So all of these are so uncomfortable. And these uncomfortable factors are known as environmental threat. Environmental threat can influence pain, and it can be categorized into visual, auditory, gustatory, and olfactory. For the visual, imagine that in a GP room and then you saw a needle in front of you. I guess immediately you can experience the pain or imagine the pain. And auditory, as mentioned earlier, someone screaming. And therefore, here comes the project objective. The first one is to create a virtual platform to assess the influence of environmental threat. You may ask, why are we going for a virtual platform? The reason of this is, firstly, that's due to limited lab space for the researchers to go on. Second, for the current practice, normally they will just repaint the room or just rebuild and reconstruct the room. It is costly and time-consuming. And therefore, since this is a virtual platform, it is important to create an immersive environment to achieve presence which make it as realistic as possible. And lastly, to develop a system that records questionnaire data during the experiment. This will be explained in the slides later. And the methods for this project is firstly, understand the research and then decide the immersive platform. Then go and research the trait values for environmental features. Next, collect and build the 3D models and modify them in Blender. Then, build and modify 3 virtual environments in Unity and add functionalities to improve realism. Lastly, to invite users to try and then collect the feedback, and we go again for step 3, 4, 5, 6 before the system is being deployed. Firstly, the step to decide the immersive platform. As shown on the table, only VR is able to fulfill all of the criteria. Comparison is made between AR, VR, HIVE, cylinder display with 3D glasses. And next, since we are going to design a good and comfortable room, but how can we define a good room? So it is based on these environmental traits, which are color, lighting, sound, materials, and shape. For color, it actually is an important part in our life where it can affect our emotions and mood and even pain. So research claims that for the shorter wavelength colors, for example green or blue, are much more peaceful and calm to our humans compared to longer wavelength colors, for example red or yellow. They are often defined as the active color. And for lighting, research shows that for the patients that are exposed to diffuse natural lights with windows, they are often recover faster, much more than the patients that did not expose to. And sound, like the literature review claims that there's a connections between humans and also nature. The more we get to the nature, the more we are more calm and also relaxed. Therefore, the materials is like biophilic design elements are like wooden materials or even pot plants. And for shape, currently there's no like obvious research that's compared between like curve or sharp or other shapes that will affect pain. But the research is conducted based on the human preference for our daily objects. How is it like human more likely to choose the objects that are in curved shape? So based on all of this research, two environments were built. It is one is non-threatening environment, which are the one that's meant to be comfortable and relaxed, and the other one is threatening environment. So build and modify 3 virtual environments. What is the third one? The third one is actually a white room that acts as a baseline measurements. Since this is a VR environment, user might get very excited and everyone might react differently. So for the white room, it acts as a baseline measurement and user get to familiarize themselves before really go for the research. And these are the 2 rooms. Yeah, so is anyone able to see what are the differences between both of these rooms? I guess it's quite obvious, like firstly the color, and then second one is with the nice windows and diffuse light, and also there's also pot plants at the corner of the room and at the shelf. Also there's a wooden materials by the door and also the table. And for the other room, it's like there's thick plants at the corner and then messy floor, messy table, and flickering light, and also annoying sound. Besides that, there's also minimal privacy from this room. As you can see, the window is like transparent and anyone can just walk by and see through. And functionalities have been added to improve realism. Firstly, as what you have seen in the videos previous, is like lighting and shadows. This is to add the important elements to make it more real life. And also hand tracking. Hand tracking is added so that users are able to interact with the virtual environments and also objects in the virtual world. So that the next one is interactive door. They will need to use their virtual hand to push the door before they get into the virtual environment. And next, use of Airlink instead of cable connection for the Oculus headset. By having this, users are able to explore the room and then walk around without getting worried to be trapped. And lastly, VR for the realism isn't focused on visualization but also on the auditory. So spatial audio is added. Spatial audio is like a 3D audio where if user is like standing in front of the highway, then they should hear the sound coming from the front, but if they turn back, then the audio should be coming from the back. And the third objective is to collect user data during VR. Let's see how it works.
Please complete these questions asking you how you are feeling while this environment. Use a scanner provided for each question to indicate your feelings. There are no right or wrong answers to the questionnaire.
So this is, users have to answer the questionnaire every 2 minutes in each room. This is like they have to answer immediately and then collect the immediate feedback from them. And then the data collected will then be exported into a CSV for future research. And this is the final product.
Welcome. See you enter the clinical room to wait for your appointment. Please use the door to enter the room.
Due to limited time constraint, if you are interested on how is the room look like, feel free to come to the demo session later. And yes, this is the final product. And as the result is, all of the objective has been met. And future work. Future work is split into two parts. One is for the researchers and one is for the software developers. For researchers, they are going to proceed to validate the virtual clinical environment by using the questionnaire that we have collected earlier and see is it able to affect any psychological in the users, and then if it is validated, they will then proceed to experimental pain research by using the VR environment. And for the developers, firstly is to improve realism. For current situations, users are only able to see their hands, and then they are missing arms, legs, and other body parts. It is better if they are able to see their whole body or other body parts to improve the realism. And next, include eye tracking and pupillometry for future data collections. This is due to a pupil will change when we are getting stimuli, for example, the brightness change. And then it is a good way to collect the data. And lastly, to integrate the biological measure into the experiment, for example, heart rate and respiratory rate, because this is much more easier to collect and also our body can't lie. It is a data that is very precious. And lastly, I would like to thank Dr. Flavia, Mr. Morgan, and Mr. Wesley for supporting me all the way along, and Carly from HIVE, and also Dr. Welbert for providing me the live space to work on, and also Gabriel for guiding me on how to work on the CSV, and the interior designer, Alex, that provide lots of information on how to do for the room design. And also I would like to thank HIVE for funding this project. That's the end of my presentation. Thank you.